Welcome to our March 23rd regular City Commission meeting. We'll call this meeting to order, and if you'll join me while Jennifer leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation.
As we begin this meeting, let's take a moment to reflect together according to our individual beliefs. Thank you. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. The first, under presentations, the first item, the Dunedin Library recognition is being postponed to a future date as convenient,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. So the next item is the recognition of Friends of the Hammock. So I will call forward Lainey, and Lainey, you can, and Carrie O'Brien, and you can call anybody else forward that you would like. Okay.
Okay, this is the board members. So.
Awesome.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
So I'm Lainey Sheets, the Parks and Recreation Administration Superintendent, and I have with me most of the board of the Friends of the Hammock. And if you don't know, for those listening at home, they have been an instrumental part of supporting our hammock park and initiatives out there. But we really want to take a moment to thank them for all that they've done and highlight some of the things that they've accomplished over the last few years. They've always been a great organization to work with. We used to just have the advisory committee, but there was a number of members of the community that really felt like they could do more, so they formed the Friends of the Hammock, a nonprofit organization that assists with the things that an advisory committee can't do. And so one of the things that they took upon as their own initiative a number of years back was the butterfly garden, and they fundraised to get that installed. And it was kind of suffering over the years, so they joined forces and got together and formed an entire committee, and now have a complete organized volunteer program where they have an adopt a bed, and individual members of the community adopt each of the beds and are responsible for it and kind of give each of the beds their own unique identity through that process. They also fundraised for us to put in educational signs and entry signs into the butterfly garden to kind of take it up that next notch. So there's some great signage out there that they paid for and really make it a destination. And then they said, we're not done. We need to do more. And if you remember, part of our initiatives of our Parks and Recreation strategic plan was to really take up the amount of nature education programming that we do in the city. And we know we can't do it all, and it takes a village to do things. So the Friends of the Hammock said, well, we're willing to take up this program, and they created a second Saturday program. And so every month throughout the year, they have an education program that they do free of charge, and they bring experts in on everything you can possibly imagine, from bats to reptiles to gopher tortoises, you name it, even edible plants on this last one that was very well received. And they said, okay, that's going great. That went for, they got that ball rolling for a couple of years, and they said, well, we can do more. And they wanted to really revive the volunteer efforts out in the hammock, and they created a third Saturday program. And every third Saturday of the month, they have different volunteers that come out and do different projects throughout the year. Again, things that the city may not have the exact resources to do, and they can supplement those efforts. And they really take great part in it, and they do it in conjunction with our staff out on the site. Additionally, they have an annual meeting, again, with great topics and education that they do. Through COVID, it was a little difficult, but they revived their efforts in full force this last year, and they did a fantastic program on the complete history of the hammock. And I want to thank, and Chris is in the audience tonight. Chris McLaughlin is our secretary for our Hammock Advisory Committee, and he worked with Bruce Worth, and between the two of them, put together a phenomenal program that we'll have in perpetuity of the complete history of the hammock. But the cherry on the top, and what I really wanted to thank them for, is over the last couple years, again, while times were tough, they undertook a capital campaign. They wanted to put some additional resources into the park, and they were out at a number of different events and sending out letters and knocking down doors. And through a number of different programs and activities, they raised over $8,000 to put back into the park. And so if you were out at the grand opening of the GDP, you saw some great trail markers out at the park. And we will be, now at the GDP, it's just a handful. We've got a lot more out of the hammock. It's a much bigger property. And they'll be replacing all of the trail markers throughout the entire park with those funds. So I just wanted to take a moment tonight, and I will turn it over to them and give them this small certificate of appreciation and token of our appreciation for all of the work that they've done out of the hammock.
Thank you so much on behalf of the board members who are here, the board members who aren't here, and perhaps more importantly, all the board members before us. This organization has gone on for over 50 years, so we had some great scaffolding before we inherited it. So thanks to all who are family members, who are members, who have been members of the FOTH for years before us. We certainly have inherited something that is to be treasured. We have certainly, as Lainey said, we have put our best foot forward. We have really combined last year to do a lot of different things. We have new board members with us, which we're really happy about. So we're extending ourselves. And I think lastly, before I turn it over to Pam, I just want to make sure, if I could see a show of hands, how many people in this room are a member of the FOTH? Okay. So if you're not a friend of the hammock, for $20, membership for the entire year. And that, of course, goes towards everything that we do, keeping our second Saturday events going. If you're not a member, if your neighbor's not a member, if your other neighbor's not a member, if your mother's not a member, if your sister's not a member, now would be the time. So please join us in everything that we do. I'm going to turn it over to Pam to give you some numbers that we've been able to accumulate.
So I wanted to also say that we would not be able to do any of what we do without the support of the city and the workers who are in the parks. And when we ask a question or we ask for help, immediately we get the backup and the support that we need with a smiling face and a helping hand. I mean, it is a thing of beauty, the synergy that we have with the city of Dunedin, and we're very proud of that. And you should be very proud of your Parks and Recs team because they're amazing. The last time that I was able to speak at this microphone, I was speaking in defense of the gopher tortoises. I think some of you may remember that evening. This place was full, and there were all these little kids that are so excited about the gopher tortoises. It's been amazing that we've been able to, with your support, expand the park. And also, I go once a week to San Jose Elementary School, and the excitement at San Jose around gopher tortoises and around Hammock Park and learning to be environmental stewards says a great deal for the city of Dunedin. But here are some numbers just over the last year. So 19, I'm that old, 2022. We had 12 second Saturday events, so we did one each month. During that time, 216 people came and participated in one of those events. We had 10 workday events, and 98 people came out and participated in those events. For the workday events alone, 294 volunteer hours. We did 2 community outreach events in 22. We've partnered with 10 different organizations to bring in experts for our second Saturday events, and total volunteer hours on the board with the second Saturday events in addition to the other volunteer hours, is 225 and a half. So we're very proud of the amount of energy and time that people are committing to this organization. And again, super proud of the city's support. We talk about you all the time because you are the heart of Dunedin, and it's our pleasure to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. And let's not forget how hard you guys worked to save those 8 acres. I mean, that's a legacy for you, for sure. Thank you so much for your service to our community. It's so important to us.
And they know to leave right away.
Yeah, see, I didn't even have to tell them. And then we have the Florida Surveyors and Mappers Week proclamation. I'll turn that over to Commissioner Walker. Is Chris here? Come on down. Sure.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, I'm absolutely proud to do this because I hesitate to say nerd when it comes to the mapping and charting and cartography, but before the implementation of global positioning, this truly was something that was a combination of science, art, and some people might even say a little bit of magic. So I'm very proud to read this proclamation. Florida Surveyors and Mappers Week, March 19th to the 25th, 2023. Whereas surveyors and mappers are counted among the founding leaders of our country and are instrumental in the formation, retracement, and layout of the land boundaries in the United States, thus allowing citizens the peaceable ownership of real property. And whereas George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, George Mason, and other forefathers of the United States served their fellow colonists as surveyors, and whereas the citizens of the city recognize the valuable contributions of the surveying and mapping profession to the history, development, and quality of life in Dunedin, Florida, and the United States of America, and continually rely on the knowledge and expertise of licensed surveyors and mappers to make important decisions to improve their day-to-day life. And whereas the surveying and mapping profession requires advanced education, specialized training, the knowledge of mathematics, the related physical and applied sciences, and the application of common law principles to the hierarchy of conflicting evidence, and whereas surveyors and mappers are uniquely qualified and licensed to measure, determine, and describe land boundaries for the management of natural resources and the protection of private and public property rights. Whereas the continued advancements in instrumentation have required the surveyor and mapper not only to understand and implement the methods of the past, but also to learn and employ modern technology in finding solutions to meet the challenges of the future. Now, therefore, I, Robert Walker, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Mayor of the City of Dunedin, Florida, and on behalf of the entire City Commission, do hereby proclaim March 19th to March 25th, 2023 as Florida Surveyors and Mappers Week in the City of Dunedin, Florida.
Yay. You want to present them with the proclamation?
Yes.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Here you go, please. You had any feedback?
Yes. A couple of years ago, I never got to read something that I dug back up because I saw your face, Mayor Julie, and you look like, oh, we have a big agenda. But over time with the, and it's not huge, but over time with the history presentation from the Friends of the Hammock in January and the reception of that, there are some things in there that I would like to say. But first, I wanted to introduce everybody who's attended this year, because 2 years ago, I think it was my two little kids and their masks. So it's really hard to get the rest of Tampa Bay area to the corner of Dunedin. But, you know, as popular as we are as a city now, I'd like to have everybody introduce themselves, if that's okay. So,
I'm Greg Duque. I work for Pinellas County Survey and Mapping Department.
Welcome.
Johnny Beeland, I'm with McKimmon Creed.
Welcome.
Hi, CJ Rue, Colliers Engineering and Design, live in Dunedin. Happy
Great.
to as well.
Thank you.
Greg Nipper, I'm with George F. Young Incorporated.
We know you very well.
Mariana Sorelli, I'm with George F. Young.
Another George F. Young.
Matt Simpson with Clymer Farner Barley Surveying.
Welcome.
Boyd Allen with Exacta Land Surveying.
Thank you for being here.
so, and I'm Chris McLaughlin. I'm a Dunedin resident and surveyor, and coincidentally serve on the Hammock Advisory Committee. So that was just a coincidence that the Foth was here previously. So that it's kind of cool that we're paired up, in my eyes. But let me just read through this if I have a moment. And for me personally, and on behalf of the other 10 active licensed professional surveyors and mappers and 4 licensed surveying businesses who call Dunedin their home, the members of the Tampa Bay chapter of the Florida Surveying and Mapping Society, and all members of the profession, I appreciate you giving this profession recognition for its place in protecting the public through boundary retracement of real property and through defensible, repeatable, and accurate measurements of land features. Those tasks may sound vague and generalized, but surveyors hold the quasi-judicial role of interpreting and determining boundary lines. And note that I didn't say property lines, because property lines are actually determined by courts when there's instances of conflicting boundaries on the ground. We play the role of measurement experts in mapping existing features, placing the positions of planned improvements on and increasingly under the ground. A typical project begins with an accurate base map of existing features located in and presented by a surveyor. This work product is typically referred to as a boundary and topographic survey. During construction, the surveyor is responsible for relating proposed improvements to the features and boundaries of the base map. This task is often called construction layout or staking. And upon completion of construction, the new improvements are then mapped, and a new survey is then called an as-built survey, sometimes called a tie-in survey, or another boundary and topographic survey, depending on the purpose of the request, if it's for refinancing or to pay off a loan or close out permits. As you can see, surveyors tend to be knowledgeable in a variety of topics, from tree species to tidal epochs to tidal history, Tidal and Title, to local customs, to utilities, to an abundance of common sense. In Florida, there's less than 2,500 active licensed professional surveyors and mappers, with an estimated 2,100 resident licensees. So we're looking at maybe a 0.1% sitting in this room. This profession is currently challenged with an abundance of work, but a lack of exposure to potential job candidates, which is why we're here today to educate the public on our unbiased role of reporting the geospatial facts that affect the welfare and natural resources of our communities. This is the 6th time I've been in front of this commission for the proclamation of Surveyors and Mappers Week in Dunedin. I've lived here for 10 years. This is unfortunately my last. I will be relocating this summer. But since moving to Dunedin, I have been honored to sit on the Hammock and the Stormwater Advisory Committees, to both which I've experienced, or shared experiences I've acquired as a surveyor, most recently for the Friends of the Hammock annual meeting. Surveyors and mappers are a unique group of people. We're respectful of history, skilled in technology, lovers of the outdoors, logical and methodical in forming boundary decisions. We're unafraid of alligators and snakes. We are afraid of fire ants. By our very nature, we tend to be a tad bit cynical, as we need to be skeptical reviewers of information. We hunt down the sources of mistakes and errors and adhere to books full of common law practices and principles to determine the best ways to isolate and model discrepancies in order to best present their original intent and our professional opinions. Some surveyors refer to their career as a measurement scientist, others in reference to the international title of the profession, geomatics, meaning geographic information and mathematics, jokingly refer to ourselves as geomagicians. I first entered the profession 25 years ago, and over that time I've witnessed more changes in the tools used to measure the Earth than the profession had seen the previous 2,000 years. I personally have watched the profession adopt military satellite positioning, such as GPS, for accurate long-distance measurements, the use of UAV drones for photogrammetric and laser scan topographic mapping, digital levels with bar-coded rods, robotic total stations, field computers reducing errors and note-taking, and the internet all but eliminate our routine trips to the courthouses. These changes have not come without growing pains. Exposing the profession to young talent has been difficult. Mariana is a great example of entering our profession from another field of choice and sticking with it and loving it, and got a certificate in geomatics recently. Same with Matt Simpson as well, was going through criminology and got a certificate in surveying.
Well, that was a leap. Sorry, I had to say that. Couldn't let that go. Like, I don't know how you went from there to there, but pretty cool.
He started out directing traffic, that's why. Many folks such as I discovered the profession by accident, fall in love with it for life. As the quote commonly goes, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. I found a family of lifelong friends and colleagues who are uncanny in the similar ways we think, to the disdain of our spouses, of course. We would love to share our profession and to inform the public that surveyors and mappers are there to protect order and prevent chaos in regard to measuring our most precious asset, land. A little history story, and I did say this a couple years ago, but I found more information, that's why. And we have some different commissioners now. In 1784, a committee comprising of Thomas Jefferson, among others, presented an ordinance to subdivide territorial lands into townships. And the land ordinance of 1785, the township, with a motion that was seconded by James Monroe, was defined as a 6 square mile by 6 square mile square, with each square mile being called a section. The purpose was to orderly survey the land before selling it to the public as a way to reduce boundary conflicts common with meets and bounds patents, which were the original 13 colonies using going down to the tree, along the creek, so on.
Have you read those surveys? I'm my family genealogist.
Oh, yes?
Reading those surveys is hysterical.
My brother and I have
Couldn't
pieced
tell you what it
together-
says, but I read them.
We've pieced together patents from South Carolina where
Crazy.
our family was, and you just can't even, they overlap by tens of feet.
40 links to tree yonder, or big oak tree yonder. It's like, okay.
And the tree's no longer there. This method allowed also an accurate computation of acreage to maximize revenue to the fledgling United States. So zoom forward 59 years to the land that is now Dunedin. United States Deputy Surveyor A.M. Randolph surveyed the boundaries of Township 28 South, Range 15 East in the spring of 1844, including the south boundary of the township, promise last page, which Union Street straddles, and the east boundary of the township, which Belcher Road straddles, both of which serve as a portion of this city's limits. In May of 1846, Deputy Surveyor Sam Reed subdivided the township into those same square miles sections by running with axemen, chainmen, and Mr. Reed presumably keeping the crew on line by using a compass frequently calibrated to true north by celestial observations to the star Polaris. Reed surveyed the south line of Section 27. This line runs west along the center line of Virginia Street from the section's southeast corner at New York Avenue and passes 320 feet south of where we are right now, which thankfully we're not in the new one. I would have had to adjust my speech. New City Hall, just north of the new City Hall, and headed west through the new and wonderful Harley's Gourmet Popcorn and Cider Shop. If you've been there, it's amazing. Yes. To the high water mark of an undescribed water body in his field notes. He set a wood post to mark the termination of the section line at St. Joseph's Sound, very close to the current location of the 1970 Dunedin War Veterans Memorial, where it sits in Edgewater Park today. Just coincidental. It's not sitting on a point. He then referenced 2 bearing trees within 50 feet, one south and one northeast, and both were pine trees. He went on to describe the land here in the heart of Dunedin as third-rate, poor pine land. Once this work was used to prepare a township plat and then approved by folks in Tallahassee and Washington, D.C., the land was patented to individuals via sales or military warrant grants, rewarding service in the armed forces. I'm getting somewhere. The latter was the case on April 2nd, 1855, when President Franklin Pierce issued warrant numbers 90907 for 39.94 acres to Dunedin's first landowner, William M. Garrison, who had been assigned Private John Hill's warrant for Hill's service in the War of 1812. That was something I found as part of that Friends of the Hammock presentation. Just as the city of Dunedin had improved from its first written account of being third-rate poor pine land to the crown jewel of Pinellas County, the surveying profession has undertaken many changes. Today, a Florida professional surveyor mapper must possess a bachelor's degree, obtain 4 to 6 years of responsible experience, and pass a vigorous examination in order to become licensed. There are 2 universities in Florida offering bachelor's degrees in geomatics. The University of Florida's geomatics program, located within the IFAS's School of Forest Resources and Conservation. There are online access and satellite campuses in Plant City and Fort Lauderdale. And Florida Atlantic University's geomatics engineering program, located within the Department of Civil, Environmental, and Geomatics Engineering in Boca Raton, with online access to courses as well. Job placement sits at 100% upon graduation. Starting salaries regularly outpace civil engineering and architectural salaries. And above all, the work is varied, highly rewarding, and not constrained to a desk with a computer. Thank you again many times for allowing me to come up and ramble. These guys have all heard me do the same thing at all of our meetings, and
Well, we're sorry to see you go.
I am too.
Hopefully
It's
you'll come
bittersweet.
back and visit.
Oh, I will, if I can get a hotel around here. Not in March. So,
Well,
but
yeah, probably not. All right, well, thank you so much. We're so appreciative of all the work that all of you do, and thank you for a lot of you being residents of Dunedin. We love our town, and we try to appreciate all our businesses, and we just appreciate what you all do. Thank you.
well, thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you all. And
Congratulations. Okay. All right, citizen input. Anyone wishing to come forward on any item that is not already on the agenda, please feel free to do so. All right, seeing and hearing none. What the heck? Oh, there we go. Okay, now we have our action items, which is the award of bid 23-1217 for the implementation of a downtown looper with Be Free in the amount of $127 and change. George, would you like to introduce your newest
I was going to ask if that would be all right,
rock star?
Mayor.
Yes,
Mayor, Vice
we
Mayor,
want to
Commissioners.
meet her.
I would like to introduce you very quickly. To my right and to your left is Kathy Gadamer. She started with us, I'm going to say, about 4 or 5 weeks ago now. Kathy has a bachelor's in urban studies and a master's in public administration and urban planning, design, and development. She has more than 20 years of experience. She's AICP certified. She's floodplain manager certified. She's also a Florida Association of Code Enforcement member. She has managed numerous capital improvements in her career, many related to transportation and land use planning, which I know was an emphasis for this position. She has experience with Complete Street Initiative, transit bus shelter initiatives, bicycle planning efforts, and is quickly learning about golf carts and how they operate and are managed. In the past, she's received what's called an Above and Beyond Award for work that she did with the Federal Fish and Wildlife and streamlining permits. So with that, I mean, a very varied background. She has hit the ground running, literally, and you'll see a lot more of her and a little less of me more in the background when it comes to our projects. The commission might know we're running about 9 projects right now, all simultaneously, and Kathy will be the lead on probably a half a dozen of those or more. So just very happy to have her here in Dunedin, and just wanted to introduce her
from
to
Indian
you.
Rocks, right? Is that what I hear?
Treasure Island.
Treasure Island. I knew it was
Close.
very cool. Well, welcome.
Thank
And
you.
We're happy to have you because we do have a lot of things, and they've been sort of piling up,
Yes.
waiting on a person with your caliber. So welcome to the city of Dunedin. I know we're all happy to have you, and I know George is really happy to get any additional help and expertise on his team. So welcome.
Thank you very much.
Jennifer, did you have any opening for the Looper at all? I didn't check with you earlier.
Yeah, no, I don't. Ma'am.
No?
My name is
Okay.
Sarah George.
We'll turn it
All right,
over to you.
We'll jump into it. So, speaking of jumping into a bunch of transportation projects, this is one. We're very pleased tonight to present to the City Commission the Downtown Looper 6-month pilot project. As the City Commission knows, there's a lot of energy behind this, and it was commissioned last year as a business plan initiative. The first year anticipates a 6-month pilot project with continuing service if that pilot project is successful. That initiative does fund the project with American Rescue Plan Act dollars initially, and then as you've probably seen in the BPI, which was attached as Exhibit J, I believe, you'll see successive years show anticipated financial reductions based on how that project, how the development of the project plays out with respect to sponsorships and those kinds of things. The pilot effort would provide for a fixed route looper, possibly combined with on-demand vehicles, and would include both ADA and eco-friendly vehicles. The consultant, in this case, Be Free, we are recommending, will implement and continually monitor survey and app data to assure the most optimum service and routes should a program be adopted long-term. We anticipate a flexible design so that we can also readily accommodate special events. So part of this is obviously being adaptable to those environments. And if you were here last Friday, you know exactly what we're talking about. Staff did circulate this RFP and scope to all relevant internal agencies. There were 3 proposals that were received and independently reviewed by the evaluation committee, which consisted of 1 member of community development, 1 member of economic development, and 1 person from the chamber. The candidates made formal presentations to that evaluation committee on January 3, and Be Free LLC was the highest ranked firm by the evaluation committee. Just a little bit about the next steps. We anticipate starting the pilot as soon as this award is made. The city will attempt to assemble an internal working team that Be Free would report to throughout the life of the pilot project. And then we will hold a kickoff meeting with that city team to garner feedback in determining those program parameters, routes, and timing to inform the proposal going forward. The provider has also agreed to solicit program feedback from other city partners, including PSTA, Forward Pinellas, and anybody else that has a kind of transportation niche in the downtown. Following this effort, the provider will prepare a schedule, an implementation timeframe to be provided to the city team, and then we will bring that back to the commission and present it formally. So before we roll anything out, we'll obviously come back and brief the commission on what the proposal would be. Operationally, the provider will introduce pilot surveys and app data, as mentioned. These will be continuously analyzed to assure the most optimum service and routes. They will be providing overall management and implementation of the service with goals including but not limited to identifying the most efficient routes, desired headways, refining long-term operational costs, identifying partnerships and funding opportunities, and estimating income and expenses, and obviously also identifying long-term capital needs. While the program emphasizes a fixed route system, future on-demand service could certainly be a natural byproduct of what we're looking at and could be something that is recommended as well and would be part of that comeback to the commission in what we anticipate to be a few weeks. The Be Free will secure appropriate locations for the storage of their vehicles and any materials. They also recruit, employ, and train their drivers, which they call community ambassador drivers. This pilot, 6-month pilot, will then culminate in a final report opining on the feasibility of a permanent long-term program, and of course would include a detailed cost plan and all of those things that you would expect to see if it makes financial sense to continue to move forward. What we really liked about Be Free, I think, or what the committee really liked about Be Free, was they really hit on our comp plan and our multimodal plan, particularly with respect to equity. They pride themselves in servicing transportation disadvantaged and transportation dependent. They were also very good in their proposal about talking about their environmental sensitivity. They actually subscribe to UN sustainability goals, and they adopt Vision Zero principles. The other aspect that we really like, they're a turnkey operation, so they're flexible. They can do a flex service, they can do a looper service, they can do an on-demand service. They've really got a lot of fluidity in what they do. They have an aggressive ED and marketing team, which we anticipate would work with Sue through the life of the project, Sue being our communications person. Again, the comprehensive driver program, and another thing the committee really liked was the live dashboard that's offered by the group. So it's a real-time dashboard where you can see people getting on, people getting off, where they're going to. So it's a very comprehensive program. From what and I'm not going to say too much about the operational part of it, because I actually have Jason here with Be Free. He's behind me. If you have any operational questions of him. But their company basically started in 2012. They have over 250 employees, and they have service in over 25 communities. So with that, and the consistency with the mobility strategies, as I mentioned in our comp plan and our multimodal plan, we are recommending this award to Be Free LLC for continued service and to introduce a 6-month pilot project, Looper project. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay, I'm sure we do. But I do want to clarify something for all of us. Any of the routes or whatever and times and all, that was just that's all to be negotiated and further determined, correct?
That's correct. The proposal kind of mentions 15-minute headways in a 60-minute loop.
Yeah.
But that's certainly something that would be discussed as part of that parameter discussion when we initially meet.
Okay, we'll start this way.
So, and go through the timeline a little bit. So you guys are going to do the proposal, figure out the routing, timing, things like that. Then it comes back to us before it becomes the pilot routes?
That's the, yes.
And you think that's going to be when?
We're going to try and get that going as quickly as possible. I know if you look at their proposal, it takes them about, I think, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, 3 weeks to get drivers kind of up and ready.
Between 30 and 45 days to get everything up and running after we figure out the actual.
You know what, why don't you come and sit at this table right here? Thank you.
Yeah, this is Jason Spiegel. He's a managing partner for Be Free.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So the goal of actually starting the pilot program would be what? Because, I mean, when I looked at the proposal, obviously, we had a goal of starting, I think, before the Blue Jays started. But what's the goal now?
We're going to rely on Jason to speak a little bit about what it's going to take for him to ramp up. I think I'm hearing, 35 to around 6 weeks or so. So that would be, we would want to come back to you before that with the program and be ready to go once we had the commission's concurrence to move forward. So I would hope to have something back to you within a month to 6 weeks.
So I guess my thing is, obviously, we had a targeted goal to do it before the game started, which would have been the season. So if we are starting, say, in 6 to 8 weeks, we'd be May, and then in the summer. I mean, so I'm looking at what's the optimum time for a pilot program for this?
Yeah, so, Commissioner, unfortunately, our goal was to have this rolled out before spring training, but we ran into a couple of snafus, weather being one that kind of moved us back, and so our selection committee was moved back on several occasions, and we just couldn't get there.
I don't think we should be in the dead of the summer doing this.
Oh?
We definitely don't.
Well, I guess that was my question. Have we considered the optimum time, even if it means we delay the beginning to get to the optimum time? And what problems does that cause? Because obviously, at the end of the day, we want good data on the pilot.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure who's best to answer that.
Yeah, I mean, so I would say obviously starting in the slower season actually could provide really good data to understand, who would be using the service during the off-peak months of the year, and understanding as we start to get more into the peak months, that ridership, that data is going to start to go up and up and up in there. So I think you can actually start on either end of it. Obviously, it would be optimal to start during the season to be able to capture all the tourists, everybody that's in town today. But I also think at the same time, you're going to be looking at this, is this a permanent solution for the downtown? And could be a year-long program that would operate during those off seasons, and I think that data is also very important to look at as well. Again, right now we operate service in over 30 communities here in South Florida. Some of them very tourist-driven, some of them very not tourist-driven, and what we're starting to see is even during those non-tourist months, you have very, very high ridership. Something that's very unique about our platform outside of the mobility service is our economic development. And what we do is on our mobile app, it's essentially a directory of Dunedin. Every local business will have free advertising on there. They'll be able to offer all these exclusive deals and discounts, and it really just helps to increase that ridership month over month. They promote the service. We put an entire marketing plan together, but the economic development piece is really going to help drive that off the ground. So again, starting in some of the off-peak months, I don't see as a, I think you'll get really good data from those months as well.
Well, we'd get partial data. I mean, that's my only concern. You
Sure.
want to get the optimum.
So maybe there's a way
But
to split it up even.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do, we have that discussion with the committee. We can do a couple of months in the off-peak and then maybe suspend and hold for a couple of months in the peak, or maybe we can think of some other creative way to kind of get back to looking for some, program at the peak, during our peak times.
the other question is, at one time, how many vehicles would be on the road?
There'd be two looping around, so essentially you wouldn't be waiting more than 10 minutes to be picked up at any of those stops there.
Because that was kind of my other thought, was like, it looked like one of the vehicles holds 5 plus the driver, then another one's 9 plus a wheelchair. And especially the 5, I'm thinking to myself, if you're in the busy time, that could be one group, and you could have multiple groups waiting, to do the looper. So just some thoughts on that. I mean, has that been an issue in some of your other areas? Or?
I mean, we run some fixed routes with some of the lower speed vehicles, like the golf cart style ones. We do have multiple vehicles that we operate across a lot of different communities. And again, depending on the actual goals of the program, the capacities of the program, that's when we would introduce the right size vehicle. But I do believe, based on the short distance of the loop, that you will have pickup, drop off, and people would not be waiting more than you would like. Yeah.
This would be the vehicle, right?
That's one of the vehicles that we offer.
Because, the other one that said fixed route was a big van, and nobody's going to get into a big van, I'm going to tell you that.
So that's
They
5.
will get into this.
So that's
Yeah.
5 people, right?
That's
people.
5 plus a driver, that's correct.
Okay. I mean, I guess you learn that as you do the pilot too, where the issues might be.
And I'll say this, every project we've started, and again, it's been over 30 projects, they've all started as a pilot. 6-month pilot, 1-year pilot, and very proud to say that every single one of them has continued past the pilot phase. We've never had a contract canceled, we've never had a stop in service, and it's really based on the value that this platform provides, even outside the movement of A to B. It's really meant to drive traffic to the local businesses, promote the entire community, and just connect the community in ways that, again, a lot of cities have never seen possible before. But it's been a very, very successful service. And again, we're a Florida operator. It started in Miami-Dade County, and right now we're in 30 different communities here in South Florida specifically. So we have a lot of experience doing this. This is one of the prime type locations for this type of mobility service. You guys are going to see a very successful program.
So this is more to George and Jennifer. Our goals in the looper to pull people who live in Dunedin and make it easier for them to get down, or, well, probably both, and to have people who are parked at the stadium or parked wherever to come downtown. That pretty much?
Yeah, and to get them from the exterior parking areas into the downtown without driving their vehicle in, that's part of it. So a lot of this will depend on Bob and his team, and we're going to need some good data on where exactly our parking area is, how that will fit within the scheme of what they're trying to do, and then the destinations, like you said, TD Ballpark's going to be a big one, the library's probably going to be a big one. So those parking areas in relationship to those trip destinations.
And Meese kind of big because we're
And
getting a
Meese.
lot of partnership parking through them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and because I was trying to think of other areas that we'd be able to park people and pull them in, but I guess
Well,
that,
but
again, you'll start thinking
if
about
I
that.
can interject, I mean, what we wanted to do, because we don't have parking in every prime spot that we want,
Right.
right? We wanted people to feel that they could park up at Meese Materials.
Mhm.
Had to figure out where I was, Meese Materials, to be able to go to Casatina. That they wouldn't do the loop constantly, right? And that they could just, because they know that our little looper, whatever we're gonna call it, will come by within 10 minutes or so, and they can hop on it and take them right down to Main Street. So when we first started this, it doesn't mean it can't expand. The idea was to go by all of our parking lots and do the loop up and down Main Street or Douglas or whatever, and get people from the parking lot to where they're going, so they don't have, so that they can park far away if they want to, and don't have to be circling.
And we can-
That was the main reason we started talking about the looper.
Yeah, and I mean, in my mind,
Internally circular, park up Meese and go to the west end, have fun.
yeah, and I mean, and I don't know where we end up on this. For me, it's like, that's walkable. To me, that's walkable. So for me, it's almost like,
At Meese Materials to go to Casatina?
well, I feel it is.
Yeah, but you're a walker. Nobody's doing that. I'm telling you, nobody's doing that. I wouldn't do that. I would be out in front of Casatina looking for a parking spot. But if they know they have a way to, get where they're going, then they don't have to.
And another great thing about the
I am
service.
not walking from Meese Materials to Casatina. Are you kidding me? You think anybody else would? Maybe you.
Well, actually, I do.
You
I
power
did
walk
get a
every
nod over
day.
there,
All right,
so.
well, you might too, but I'm telling you, most people, and I mean, look at our age range of our residents. I'm telling you.
We
Not
also have a
happening.
pretty active fit group.
It's
so.
not happening.
Okay,
Not for
so
most.
anyway, so, okay, well, different theories. Because for me, it's more about getting to the outside parking zones to get people in and then get them back to it, boom. Because again, if you park at Meese, like, to me, walkable here, that would almost be used more for the games over at TD Ballpark or, something special happening over there. But in general, we'd be more about bringing people here from TD Ballpark and Hale Center because they could park easily and know they're going to get here. But that's just me. So for me, I'm like looking, where's our different open parking areas that we want to pull people in so they don't have to search and not get a spot down here. Or we maybe don't have to have a big parking garage. So anyway, that's my thought, but that's some of our issues, Jason.
Yeah, no, that makes
Yours
sense.
is more
And
yours.
I think, Commissioner, very quickly, I mean, that's what's kind of nice about this service in that you're going to have that live data that we're constantly going to be reviewing, and we'll make those adjustments as if we see service needs that are maybe not clicking one way. I think it's a nice service in that you can make those adjustments very quickly.
Yeah, and it will be app-based, so people will be able to track the vehicles in real time. And again, depending on how we, kind of finalize the way it's going to run, either, again, a fully fixed route system, a flex system, or on demand, people can also see the vehicle, request the vehicle, wait to get picked up, see when it's going to be picking them up, explore everything happening, all the businesses while they're waiting.
Very cool.
So we have that capability, and that's included within the service here as well.
And that'll certainly be part of the demonstration when we come back, the app service. So you'll get a chance to see that.
Good, okay, well, I'll move on, you move on to my colleagues for. Rob?
So, question I have is how was the decision made for two vehicles? And my rationale behind that question is how do we measure, how is the volume of people that we will transport measured? And were there some assumptions built into this, or?
Is there what, I'm sorry, built into?
Assumptions?
There's some assumptions built into it. Now, obviously, we operate in a lot of different communities, a lot of downtown-type districts like this. One specifically is Coconut Grove over in Miami-Dade County, kind of very similar in terms of the business district. We operate two vehicles there, and that's been operating very, very, very well for a long time. That's one assumption, and obviously it is a pilot project, so we will see the data, we'll understand what's working, what's not working, we'll make adjustments, we'll come back with recommendations. But that is one of the great things of a pilot program and the data collections that we're able to provide back to you guys there.
Yeah, and Commissioner Franny actually framed pretty much the exact question I had with regards to the peak season, because going back to the volume and the assumptions that you made in 2 vehicles, what constitutes success, I guess? What is the metric for a successful pilot? And I'm not convinced that that metric would be necessarily achieved not in doing this during not peak season. Because if you take a look at the timeline it's going to take to ramp up, 4 to 6 weeks, that puts us beginning of May, mid-May, going into the summer. So, I'm kind of curious as to, what additional thoughts you have on that.
I mean, a neighboring community where we operate down in St. Pete Beach, that program has been going on since 2017, and during the summer months right now, it is very busy still. I mean, we're moving. I mean, this month obviously is peak season. We're going to be moving over 14,000 riders with only 4 vehicles. They started with only 1 vehicle just on the southern end of Passagrill. And with that 1 vehicle during the first year of the pilot, I mean, we were moving between 3,000-4,000 people just within that area there. So again, I think a big part of the metrics is going to be the ridership, that cost per rider at the end of the day. Obviously the surveying that we're going to do and just the feedback that we're going to get from the riders, that's going to be a big metric. Obviously we have this whole platform on the app that people can go redeem deals. You guys are going to see local businesses being able to get that economic impact as well. You guys are going to see a lot of different data points that you're going to be able to, kind of make those, those analysis from.
Okay, thank you.
Vice Mayor?
So we're asking questions and we're giving some comments. So if I may, of course, I know Jason and I know his organization, and I know that some of the startups, they start slow and they make adjustments as they need to, and so we would certainly do that as well. I went through the whole review. I'm excited about the program. I'm excited about initiating the program, and of course, I'm a big one for on-demand. So you have to start somewhere, and I think it's a great thing for us to get involved with. I think it's economically feasible for us, and we'll be collecting a lot of information. And his app, he's got a great app that's used in a number of locations. And I think probably almost every, I'm not trying to advocate for you at all, but I think in almost every organization that you're in, or every city that you're in, and that's basically your business, is successful. Started slow and changed and built on. So I think the point that I really want to make for the rest of us is you have the flexibility, and you're going to be working with staff, and we'll modify when and where we have to. But we have to start somewhere. And sometimes when you start right in the middle of the season, that's not necessarily a good idea. Maybe it's better that we start even at this point in time, just to get some real data points and some information going. So I'm real happy about everything I read. I'm not going to talk about that. And I guess the real question, because I'm going to ask a question or two, is that you've been here and you've taken a look, and there's really nothing different here than what I've lived over in that area, of course, where his business is, where his business is located. But I'm certainly familiar with some of the organizations that have his program in, and they've changed. They've moved, and things have changed. If we have the goal of trying to keep cars out of our downtown, there's 2 parts of that. One is this looper part, and the other one is on demand. And I think that we ought to start as quickly as what we can. That was the plan, and we did get knocked off that just a little bit. But would you say that you're comfortable with an organization like us starting at this time point? Keep in mind now, when it gets hot, that's when people don't really want to walk. And
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a
that's
good
in all
point.
of your- That's when you're all of your marketing.
No, I think your first point actually makes a lot of sense. Like, yes, you can start during that peak season, but sometimes during that peak season, you might have oversubscribed, over demand, and some people might not be able to have that true experience of the service. And other times, it's better to start off slowly and to build and ramp up in times. I truly believe here, and again, like a lot of the other communities, even during the off-peak season, it's going to be busy. You guys are going to have riders. You're going to see the system being used. You're going to work out those kinks in the beginning, and then as that season starts to ramp up, it's going to be at optimal levels. And the goal, is to help you guys with some funding opportunities through advertising, through grants. There's a lot of money out there right now that we've helped a lot of communities with FDOT, with the local businesses. So I absolutely agree that I think you can start during the season, you can start during the off-season. This is going to be a very successful program no matter when you start it.
You have to gather the data over a time period, not just over a hot time or a low time, but over a significant time period. Really see what's
Absolutely.
happening. And you got to get that familiarity, and that's what's happened, I think, probably in every one of the locations that you started. You start slow, people become familiar with it. Do you want to just comment about your app? Just a little bit, the easiness?
So the app, I mean, I wish I could show a slide of it because, again, it's very, very unique. It's not just your typical transit app that you can just request rides. It truly is a community guide. You can look at all the bars, the restaurants, the arts, the entertainment, all of your points of interest. Every local business here will have a free listing on there. Again, offer these deals, these discounts. We have an entire economic development team that will come out here. They're going to meet with the local businesses. They're going to partner with the chamber. They're going to do presentations. And again, it's going to drive a lot more value than just, again, getting people out of the cars, which I know is the main goal, having people park on the outskirts coming in. But the true value that you guys are going to see is going to be so much more than just that. And it's really the mobile application that really separates our service from all other types of transportation out there. And really look forward to you guys downloading it, checking it out. But again, it is really kind of like an Uber meets Yelp kind of app, if you were to say.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and let Jeff ask.
And one more just to add on there. So we have this section right on the homepage where you guys will be able to do surveying from, promote your events, your public service announcements. It's so much more, again, than just transportation. And again, I definitely encourage you guys to download it, check it out, and you'll be very, very happy with what you see.
The app is already downloaded on my phone, so I've already checked it out. It's very, very impressive. Very cool. And I guess it goes back to they didn't get a really clear, good understanding. What is the goal of what we're trying to achieve? How will we know that we're successful? What are we actually measuring? Is it the number of riders? Is it the lack of cars downtown? And what is it that we're going to measure to go, yes, it's successful?
I think every community has a different KPI on how they look at these types of services. Some communities bring it in as, again, just a fully mobility service to get people to where they need to go. Others bring it in as a full economic development tool. One example is Delray Beach. Again, similar goals of you guys. They did not want people taking their cars into the business district. So what we did is we created a zone around the business district and then another geofence around the residential community. And the technology was set up that you either had to start your ride or end your ride within the business district in order to be eligible. So it was getting the residential community to come downtown without having to use their car, being able to maneuver around the downtown area there. But every city has totally different goals when it comes to these types of programs. And what's made us successful is that we're able to design the entire program around what you're looking to accomplish. So going back to the parking lots, another way that the service could run is that, again, you would either have to start your ride or end your ride at one of the parking lots to be eligible to use the service. If that's the true goal of the program, that's something we can implement. We can implement a full loop with that flexible on-demand system into it. But again, it really goes back to your goals, and that's how we design the entire system, and that's what we design the metrics, the KPIs, and the success of the program around. But it's based on your goals, the city's goals, and what you guys are looking to accomplish with the system.
And Commissioner, I think not to be overlooked is the goals and values that are embedded in the comprehensive plan, the multimodal plan, particularly on the mobility equity side of things and on the environmental side of things. So I think there's some, if we can show that we're reducing vehicle miles traveled, then we're slowing greenhouse gas emissions, and we're doing some things that I think, from a sustainability standpoint, that the city aspires to. And then also, again, on the equity side of things, transportation disadvantaged individuals will have an opportunity for a free ride, basically. And transportation dependent. And we know we've got those folks out there, those folks that need rides back and forth to the hospital and whatnot. So I think there's some advantages there as well, not just on not just the fact that you're looking at total ridership numbers and know that people are riding the system.
Yeah, sustainability is important. We track, preventable CO2 that otherwise would be used if somebody used their personal vehicle. On the on-demand side, just like you would get a ride receipt after an Uber ride that tells you where you've gone and how much the ride costs, when you get the receipt from us, it's free, but it shows you how much carbon you save by not using your car based on your trip mileage there. So we embed sustainability into everything we do as well. And again, I know that's a big goal for you guys, and that would be one of the KPIs that you guys would be tracking on that real-time dashboard.
You had mentioned the number of rides in one of the other cities. I can't remember which one it was.
St. Pete Beach.
It could have been. It could have. So it gives you the idea that you can actually measure head count, right, or ridership. And so and I know that we're not on the back end of the proposal. We still have to figure out the routes and stops and things of that nature. But with the vehicles presented, what's the total ridership that you're hoping to get out of this?
With the two vehicles, I would say, by the 6 month, if we can get up closer to that 4,000 rider per month, that will show that this system is really building to a really good place there. And that would essentially bring down the cost per rider under $5, which is really good when it comes to, fixed route micro transit type services that is not mass transit. That would probably be one of the marks that we're looking to kind of hit on by month number 6 there.
Okay. And this might be more for Bob, but how many parking spaces do we have, or do we have an idea of how many people visit our downtown per month?
We do. We have a very good idea how many parking spaces we have. I'd have to dig it up. I don't know it off the top of.
It's like 2,100, I want to say.
Well, and I don't know about our downtown, but we have roughly 800,000 people that visit us every year.
Okay. 800,000.
Might be 850.
Okay. Alrighty. With the proposal that we're talking about tonight is the fixed route, and we can talk about the on-demand. Are those two proposals connected? Could we not do the route, but do the on-demand?
The on-demand will actually cost you less than doing the full route there. A little bit less, not by much, but
$1,000.
Right.
A little bit less though. But yeah, essentially it's not extra cost to do it, but you can start either way. Our recommendation would go to fully on demand, but again, I know that there's some people within the community that wants to see a kind of fixed route looper. We're willing to go either way that the community sees fit.
Okay.
But based on our experience.
So those are separate proposals then?
Yeah.
We don't.
I would say two separate ways to run it.
If I want the on-demand, I don't have to get the fixed route.
Oh, correct.
And then we talk about on-demand later.
No, it's an option, one or the other.
Okay, fine. Those are all my questions.
I don't think I have questions now, because I think they've all been asked. I think I only have comments. Let me open it up to the public. Anybody here from the public wish comes forward and speak? Seeing or hearing none, can I have a motion to award the bid?
So moved.
Second.
Vice Mayor Torngat and Commissioner Walker. Thank you. Okay, John? Final comments, or?
Thank you very much. I'm trying to be very, very open to the fact that I know that some people want to have the looper. I'm an on-demand person. I think that this will be good in both cases, and whichever way we really wish to go, I'd love to go. I'm game for going just on demand or Looper and on demand, or start out with Looper and go into on demand. I know that I know his organization has the capability of understanding all of this and following all this very closely, and I know you all do too. So I think we'll see what happens, and as we go along, we'll be able to adapt to this. The on-demand, as I mentioned before, when I was really excited about all of this, is that the people here in Dunedin leave the cars home and they come to where they want in Dunedin, only in Dunedin. They can't go outside of Dunedin. I'm not trying to trap them in it. We have enough places to go for everybody. I think that it will be protective for us from the standpoint of individuals driving themselves. There's people that can't drive themselves, and I'm really open and really trying to be understanding of them. I've sat at the Publix and watched people come in hired vehicles and have to wait for half an hour to an hour. That's when when I ring the bell every year, I watch all of this, and I watch people not being able to get to where they need to go in our own city here, simply because they don't have the money and or the car and or both, and they finally save up the money and now they have to wait for transportation. I think this would really be great. I think it's great for people that are out that are going to be eating a little bit too much and may not be able to get behind the wheel very well, or perhaps doing other things and not be able to get behind the wheel very well. And so I think this is just very protective of that. I think it's a great service within the community. We're not the first to ever do this, but we are a golf cart city. And I would love to see this be part of that whole electric vehicle concept. Part of us being a golf cart city, even though some of these are not necessarily golf carts, but right now we're calling golf carts pretty much everything anyway. It's just an electric vehicle that's going to be buzzing around, and this one happens to have a driver and a great app. So I think this is just something that's really going to be great for the community. We certainly ought to, let's just say that we're not really pleased with it. I don't think there'd be any negative part to this. I think that those who get to use this will be happy. It may not grow to be bigger. It may grow to be much bigger. But regardless, the value will be in just in doing it and trying it. You'll see a lot of people, for example, during baseball. Well, we're not going to have baseball going on all of the time here, but we will have some of it. And we'll have other things happening here, other events going, and they can take those down for the events. We have events that don't necessarily get proper or adequate transportation. And I know I work because I volunteer at a lot of these things for parking and stuff, and it becomes very frustrating for parking for these folks. And they'll be maxed out during those periods. So, and they'll know when that's happening because they stay really acutely aware of what's going on economically in the city. So I like the service. I'm excited about having it, and I'm excited about going forward with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Walker?
So yeah, I did have a chance to review the 3 proposals, and so I do a lot of proposals, and I have to say your proposal was very well written. And I think I can. And I actually, I kind of, as the discussion went on, I kind of literally warmed up to the idea of the timeline, because that the end of the 6-month period will then actually happen as we get closer to the holidays. And so subsequently there'll be an opportunity to work out all the things that we would hope to work out during the course of a pilot project. So anyway, I absolutely agree with the Vice Mayor that this is a much needed service in this town and in Dunedin, and I think it's good.
Commissioner Freeney?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's actually pretty exciting. I mean, there's pieces that you can pick apart about the timing, et cetera, and I'm still not sure the best time to pilot, the looper itself. I absolutely, Vice Mayor, see the on-demand. I mean, you only have to look as far as St. Patrick's Day, and all my friends are like, hey, can we park at your house? And, and of course I'm a mile away, so they didn't really want to walk. But, again, if you've got, the on-demand, you've got more flexibility. So, I mean, I think this, again, it's a first step. What you've, I'll be curious to make a visit in one of the communities where you're already well-established while you guys are getting ready for ours. But, no, I think it's a first step to something that could actually solve some, key issues for us. I mean, parking and just, being a little bit more multimodal oriented. So, thank you.
Commissioner Gill?
Thank you, Mayor. Like everyone else, love the proposal. From what I could see about the company, it does seem like a great company. And as the Vice Mayor mentioned, your app really is impressive. It's very nice. The concerns I have are over our being designated a walkable city. And we are now talking about implementing something that takes that away. The benefits of, benefits of walking, it improves cardiovascular and pulmonary fitness, reduces the risk of heart attacks and strokes, it improves movement and hypertension, high cholesterol, joint muscular, it improves mental health. There are just a variety of benefits to walking. I don't see where this will impact parking anywhere downtown at all. We're still going to have those people. Yes, if I park on the perimeter, I can get a ride. But those same people who know that are still going to try and park in front of Flanagan's. They're still going to try and park in front of Blur. They're still going to try and park, so we're still going to have the traffic downtown. So I personally don't see, unless there's some data that proves me wrong, I don't see where that's going to benefit. If you're walking in downtown Dunedin, it's from point A to point B, and between point A and point B are merchants. And if somebody is walking from point A to point B, there's an opportunity along that way for that merchant to interact with that customer and try and get somebody. Once you're in the looper, you're bypassing all that. So I do have concerns about the economic impact of the merchants downtown. And if there is some data to prove that, I do find economic impact studies a little sketchy sometimes, but I'd be willing to look at that. I am a big believer in the on-demand. I think that's where you hit our residents the most. I think that's where you'll get your sustainability impact, right? That they're leaving their cars at home and they're coming into our downtown and then they're walking around our downtown. You feel safer when you walk. There's a social aspect to walking. Cars isolate people, so it's healthier for communities to actually get people out of cars. So I have concerns over the health of the community by incorporating things like a looper. So if this is I have to take the looper to get to the on-demand, I don't know that I can do that. But if we're willing to talk about on-demand and how pilot programs on-demand, because it could have been in here and I might have missed it, but I didn't see where there was data on demand and what that does in communities where you might have contracts. So I would like to see that data. So right now, if it is just the looper concept, I can't vote that way, and hopefully you guys understand that. But to me, it's a sustainability issue. It's an economic issue for me, and it's not solving the problem that I see as a problem. We need to find ways to keep cars at home. And I know that the conversation is, well, we just need to do this for cars, and then we can focus on other modes. There's never enough for modes. Everybody's already heard me talk about the billions of dollars that are currently we're talking about for car infrastructure in our county, and that's just today going forward. That doesn't talk about the billions of dollars we spent through history to get to today. And so, but we still have congestion problems, we still have transportation problems, so still being car-centric is not solving anything. And so I don't see where this looper program even starts to make a dent in that, there's no doubt that you'll have ridership. You know, that I don't know that there's any doubt. If I park on the perimeter, it's a benefit that the looper is here, but I'll walk anyway. I think the number of events that we have downtown and the number of people attending those events downtown tell you people are willing to walk. People are willing to walk in Disney World all day long, every day. So people are willing to walk. And so for those people who are challenged in driving and things of that nature, that's just one more reason why the on-demand works so much better, because it hits people of all ages, all health situations, and really benefits the community. So that's kind of where I stand. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think Deborah and I are the people that brought this forward 3 or 4 years ago in our strategic planning, add this project to the list of things to do.
Yes. I think it's 3 or 4 years ago.
And the reason we did was twofold. A, yes, if you're parked down there and want to go up here, it gets you around. And people that go to Disney World go, just no offense, Jeff, but they go because they know they can walk. Not everybody can walk everywhere they're going. It's just,
Absolutely.
So you don't want to penalize those people. I also think we've got several key hotels in our area. People might come without a car. If they know they can get around the downtown, they don't know where they're going. I saw you guys in Hollywood last year. We were all there for Florida League of Cities Conference. I don't remember the name of the place, but y'all pulled in.
Diplomat.
I took a picture of you and sent it to her.
Not you personally.
Not you, but your vehicle. Because I was like, that's exactly what we need. The little electric one, not the van. By the way, I would never get in that van.
It's
creepy.
It's for a specific purpose, right?
I understand.
It's
But I'm
electric,
saying, if you pulled up in front of a parking lot, I would not get in it as a woman. I just, no way. Sorry, just telling you. In the electric vehicle, with all those windows, and you see other people, yep, I'd get in that. I don't even get into Ubers that much, so. But anyway, I do think it's a valuable service. I think, I know you all are gonna sit and talk about Transportation 101 as far as what the route should be. I think, to me, the first priority should be hitting all our parking lots. So that people feel free to park wherever they need to, because they know they don't have to follow their normal, natural intuition and park right in front or circle until they get one right in front, which is what we're trying to alleviate, is that frustration. We have several key hotels. These people don't know where they're going when they're in town. They know they're in a cool town. Maybe they know a couple of things, but they may know Main Street, but they don't know what's up the road on Douglas or whatever. This gets people, hey, where's the best place to eat, whatever, when you're in a new place. That's what I'm always doing when I'm going to a new place for a couple of days. It's that kind of thing. I think we have to remember that it is a pilot. When we did the pilot for the trolley, we just did Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's it. We did not go the whole week, because that's the busy time. That's when you get the most people. It will cost us less, but it tells you everything you need to know on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We have on-demand service. Tiki rides. Goes anywhere from anybody in the city of Dunedin can come down here on tiki rides. They can't stay full. I'm just saying, we do have an on-demand service that we're not paying for, and it's not getting used. Now, if we want to see that used more, we should probably try to partner with them and advertising them on our city Facebook page. I don't even think we're allowed to do that. But I'm just saying, we have an on-demand service that we're not paying for. And maybe there's some way we can work with them to become more successful. I think we can start small. I would have preferred that this either start in January or start in September, But I also understand working out the kinks, it's better to do that when you have less people. So I'm gonna be open to all that. You guys are gonna go all figure it out. I don't think we need 7 days a week service, is what I'm saying, especially not during the pilot, and not during the slowest time of the year. So I think there's money to be saved there. I think even when we get into season, it might be 4 or 5 days a week. You know, depending on what you see on your data. I definitely want to see the electric vehicles. I think being able to make a run up and down Main Street and a run up and down Douglas Avenue, being able to have a 10-minute turnaround or something to that effect. You know, and I don't know, if somebody waves you down, are you going to be able to stop and pick them up?
That's a policy decision for you guys.
I
Some
mean, because I
communities
think
say
that's
yes.
a whole nother thing, you know, the trolley, when we negotiated the trolley deal, we said, if somebody's waving you down, you better stop and pick them up. You know, so,
I mean, all that affects your time.
I know,
That's the key.
I know, so, I mean, maybe the deal is,
How many stops and how many, you know.
I also think maybe the deal is maybe it's less days and more vehicles, so that your turnaround time. However I'm not trying to tell you how to do it, I'm just trying to say, to get the best service, you want to focus on the highest days, highest usage days, and the quickest turnaround. That's how you're going to get more users. So that's my feedback. I am supportive. And that's it.
I appreciate you bringing up tiki rides, because that is a perfect example.
I've used
of
it.
Yeah, fine.
Right, I've got it here,
And-
just one in my neighborhood, so it's-
Yeah.
you're right.
I've used it. We had a group of us coming down for a birthday, to celebrate a birthday, and none of us wanted to drink and drive, so we met at one person's house that was local to everybody, came down here and went back. It was great. It was great, and there was maybe, I don't know, 10 or 12 of us. It was funny to see us all fit on it. There weren't, you know, there was some lap sitting that went on, but we used it and came down. It was great, and but it's an on-demand service.
Yeah.
And it's all based on tips. I'm assuming that's how you're operating, is tips?
No,
take
they
tips?
get paid livable wages.
No, I'm saying that.
Oh, the drivers? They're not allowed to solicit tips. They can't ask for tips.
No, but they
can't-
can take them, right?
if they provide great service.
Because
and
it's a free ride, right?
it's a free ride. And they can accept, but they're not allowed to solicit ever.
I get that. I'm just saying, some of these services, as you probably know, you know, tips help supplement some of this, is all I'm saying. But yeah, tiki rides, and again, you know, when you talk about transportation disadvantage, we have that kind of transit going on in our city. We have the on-demand from PSDA that's going on in our city. I see the vehicle around on 580 and over by Meese Manor and that kind of thing. But if we need more usage out of these, we need to utilize those services more. That's what I keep trying to say. Why, let's say we love this looper and then we're going to do on-demand, which is going to be then another 100 and whatever. Why are we doing that when there's 2 organizations already doing it? Why aren't we working with them to make them do their on-demand, help them be more successful in their endeavors versus us, our taxpayers, paying for it? That's what I'm trying to say. You're a PSTA rep. Talk to Brad. How can we make that on-demand service more viable in our community?
I hear you. I just don't think the looper is going to, it'll be full, and we're all going to be very proud on how full this looper is. But it's not going to solve a parking problem. It's not going to solve a transportation problem, and that is our problem. Is my
Okay, but
concern.
are you talking to PSTA about their on-demand service that they're already, what are they saying? Why can't they make it better? Oh, I already know why. It's money,
Well, then-
but that's what I'm asking.
There you go. Yeah, but I'm talking, and we're working through things. We're getting ready to have a bus study that's going to, basically a long-range plan on how we see PSDA for the next 5 years. And so that's where we'll start to see something that come out of that.
Will
But that's a different topic than
Will their
this.
on-demand service be reviewed?
I don't know the details of it. It's a broad scope. Buses, we're going to review them. So I did not ask that question.
I mean, just to throw into the thing, I mean, quite a few people that joined us for St. Patrick's Day Ubered. You know,
They
Ubered.
do. So I just get worried about how
it's
far
valid
do we
points.
go on the on-demand. I understand the concept of it, though. I do. I'm just not sure it's on us to pay for when there are other organizations already doing it. And how do we work with them on their dime to make it better, is what I'm trying to say. So, anyway, that's my feedback on the on-demand. I'm not saying no, that I would never consider it. I'm saying we have to exhaust what's available to us already first and say, we just can't get it from that versus just throwing our own. And now we have a third. So we now have a private owner, we have a public entity that tax dollars are funding, and another public entity that tax dollars funding, all doing on-demand, and how is it really helping everybody? That makes no sense to me. That's not smart spending of any public dollars, whether it's ours or PSDA's or anybody else's. So,
Mayor, can I tag on
Sure.
just to that? Just because Jason, because your on-demand actually won't go down major roads, right? So it has to be in a,
We have different vehicles depending on the geofence. If it's just within the downtown, we would recommend the low-speed golf cart style
so you
one.
actually do have, okay.
well, that's that van that I wouldn't get
Yeah,
into
the
at a
van,
parking
right.
lot.
We also,
He showed us pictures. No, we saw.
we also use Teslas in the
Yeah.
majority of the communities for
Okay,
that
gotcha.
on-demand
So you do
service.
have that.
Yeah, they do have that. Yeah, no.
Yeah, so we have 3 different
Fine.
vehicle
I
types.
disagree with what you're saying.
Yeah,
Because
so
you
I guess what I'm saying is I'm supportive of this. I would look at the narrow, or at least discuss, I'm not telling you what to do. But, I'm not the expert here, but I would say at least discuss just the minimal Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and maybe adding more vehicles if that might do the loop quicker. I definitely don't think off-season we need 7 days a week or even 5 days a week. And I would also say that, maybe you all get together and strategize, how do we get tiki rides out there more? Can we have an agreement with them? So we have the ability to sit with them and find out, what are they doing to get business? What are they doing to advertise? Because we have an actual agreement with them that they can use our streets for their business. So I think that gives us every right to ask some of these questions, right? Because we have a problem we want them to help solve, which is why we created that agreement. I think we should be meeting with them. In addition, talking to PSTA about their on-demand services. The on-demand services isn't as much about bringing people into the downtown, but can it be? I don't know. So, having those dialogues with them as to what they can do, what they are currently doing, so that you all are very up to speed with what they are doing, and how can that get utilized to assist our downtown? That's all I'm saying. I know that's a long-term thing. It's not going to get fixed tomorrow. That's like a 5-year deal. Everything in government's a 5-year deal. It always is. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to award the contract for a pilot program. Y'all have heard all of our feedback and the things we're concerned about, right? You feel clear? Yes. Okay. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay. Motion passes 4-1. Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate you standing your ground.
I just don't get it.
Well, it wasn't necessarily to solve parking, though. You're looking at it, it was to help with parking, to move people around, but it wasn't necessarily to solve parking.
Well, that's part of my goal, but I think you gotta take a
Okay.
step to learn.
Right.
You gotta take a step to learn. You take a step to learn.
I hope I am wrong.
Okay.
You gotta take the step to learn, though. right?
You do.
Prove the theory or.
Well, maybe not a step, but maybe we can hire a company that'll move us to that step. I'm sorry, I was thinking walkability or something.
Oh, you're so funny. Ha ha.
Oh, we have differences in our theories, but again, this will help us to understand.
Okay, Michael.
Yes.
Let me pull that item
We go
up.
to the really exciting stuff now, right?
Fiscal year 23 IT equipment software purchases in the amount of 1.2 and change million. Please.
Just have to stand up.
Who's squeaking over there?
Well, it's this chair right here. Let's see,
It's
there-
Rob. Rob is squeaking.
This is another reason why we need. a
New City Hall. Okay, Michael, you're on.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Michael Nagy, Director of IT Services Department, here to request approval of the FY23 IT equipment software and support services. Before I begin my presentation, I would like to address the Commission with a positive comment. From the year 2000 until present, the city has had 10 people serve as the role of IT Director or IT Manager or Acting IT Manager. On March 30th, 2023, I will celebrate my 7th year as the city's IT Director.
Longest serving one?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Wow, that's awesome.
when I was sworn in by Mayor Bajalsi back in 2016, I informed them that I was the longest tenured IT Director in California Southern District Court and North Carolina Eastern, and I hope to continue that path here. This month also celebrates, believe it or not, my 39th year in the IT field.
Wow.
31
Oh,
years
my
as an IT Director. So, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So tonight, I'll be reporting on the following items for the Commission to review and approve. Transfer the city's ERP system from a local on-premise hosted system to Tyler Technologies' cloud-based environment, the purchase of Microsoft Office 365 software, the purchase of SentinelOne antivirus protection program, the purchase of a redundant storage device, and the purchase of our annual cyclical computer replacements and network equipment. So after the cyber attack that befell the city on October of 2022, the recovery process taught us many lessons as far as what automated technologies the city should invest in so that the needs of the public are served with as little disruption as possible and employees have little to no downtime at all. The public and our employees have an expectation of access to fast and reliable service that is available 24 hours a day. Some of the lessons we learned were the need for vast data storage devices that provides redundancy to critical systems, the use of a multi-factor authentication program for remote and local users to ensure they are authorized city employees trying to gain access to our network, the implementing the advanced cybersecurity monitoring systems to help us stop intruders or detect anomalies on our network before they happen, upgrade to a more advanced antivirus protection system, move mission-critical programs such as our ERP and email systems to a cloud-based environment, as well as upgrade IT network equipment and desktop computer systems accordingly. So the Tyler ERP system is considered the city's mission-critical technology system. The system currently includes all of our financials systems, human resources and payroll, general revenues, our employee time and attendance. In 2023, the ERP system will also include services that provide permits, code enforcement, inspections, work orders, utility billing, fleet management, and facilities management, as well as a citizen self-service portal. The city currently hosts all 9 of the servers and databases for each of those programs on-premise. The hardware and software must be purchased and maintained by the city's local IT staff. Although the Tyler ERP system was down for just 3 weeks after the cyber attack, and even a little longer for the payroll processing application, it caused a disruption in the services that we provide to the public. By moving our on-premise ERP system to Tyler's cloud-based service, the city and the public can benefit tremendously. The cloud-based system has many advantages that include triple redundancy in Tyler's 3 governmental secure storage sites. We will never need to purchase or upgrade our ERP servers, as Tyler provides unlimited storage space for us. Cloud-based clients would receive the latest software versions before any other client, and we will always be on the newest version. Even if our city network is down, employees and citizens can still access all of our ERP records from any internet browser. The only disadvantage is that we would have to rely on Tyler Technologies to maintain their redundant sites 24 hours a day so that our databases can be accessed. Since their cloud systems are housed in several key governmental secure sites around the country, that also where most major banking and industrial organizations, as well as key U.S. governmental entities, also house their data. So we would be in a site that's basically fail-safe, as if a connection in one site fails, then we're switched over to another one. And because of those entities in those kind of governmental sites, they have the highest level of priority for broadband and power. This slide compares the current annual cost that the city pays to host our ERP system on site to the cost of Tyler Technologies for them to host our ERP system in the cloud. The city currently pays a little over $186,000 annually for the licensing and support. Those costs increase about 3.5% annually. We also need to replace all 9 of our ERP servers every 3 to 5 years, and the annual costs accrue about $42,000 per month. By the city hosting the ERP system, we also have to factor in personnel-related costs for one full-time employee at 2 hours per day to maintain the 9 ERP servers and databases. That cost is approximately $31,200. So combined, we are paying almost $260,000 annually to support for the ERP system on site. If we move to Tyler Technologies ERP cloud service, we would never have to purchase network servers again. Our personnel costs could go down, as we will no longer need to administer the equipment or install new software versions, and IT staff will be freed up to focus on cybersecurity detection and protection. However, by moving to their cloud service, the annual licensing fee support costs would go up to $254,000 per year if they host it. Yet the city would be able to save about $2,500 a year overall by us just switching. Since Tyler Technologies requires a 3-year upfront contract to host their system, this slide compares our on-site ERP hosting cost to Tyler Cloud Service over a 3-year period. If the city maintains local hosting, it would cost us about almost $800,000 over the 3 years. If we move to Tyler, it would be a little over $772,000, with a rough savings of about $7,500 over 3 years. Due to the time frame requirement for implementing the Tyler ERP cloud service, the city would have a contract for a 3.25-year agreement and not just a 3-year. That means in FY23, we would only pay for 3 months of support starting this July. Funding for the remaining years on the contract would be split over the fiscal years 24, 25, and 26, and budgeted within those same fiscal years. The initial cost for the cloud service in FY23 would be $72,266 for those 3 months. That includes a one-time installation fee of $12,711 and $63,555 for those 3 months. However, as shown on the slide, the city would be issued a credit in the amount of $33,423 for the 3 months of hosted support that we've already prepaid in FY23. Therefore, the actual amount we'd need to pay this year would just be $42,843. That $42,843 would come from the $75,000 already budgeted in FY23 IT Services Fund for ERP server replacements. If we switch to the Tyler service now, we will not be required to purchase new ERP servers this year. Therefore, we could take that $42,800 from that capital account and transfer it into the software services account. If approved, that $42,843 transfer would be reflected in a future budget amendment request to be brought before commission at a later date. So in summary, the cost to switch to Tyler's cloud solution would run about the same as if we were to continue to host it internally. There would be no funding increase to FY23 to switch to the cloud service. Funding is already available in our FY23 IT Services Capital and Equipment account. The major advantages, again, are data redundancy sites, frees up IT staff to focus on cybersecurity monitoring and protection, never needing to purchase new servers, no downtime for replacing or upgrading servers, and as a cloud-based client, we have a higher level of priority over all other Tyler customers. Staff therefore highly recommends the city award the ERP contract to Tyler Technologies in the amount of $838,932.50. Before we move on to the next item, is there any questions?
I don't have any questions.
I have one. So, we've had our ups and downs with Tyler. So does this just make us more dependent in a way that, how do, if all of a sudden, we just decide we want to break from Tyler, then what do we do?
I can't imagine that happening. This is the biggest investment software-wise the city's ever endured since the 90s when they went with Naviline. And to move to another system, the cost just for implementation, the software, personnel costs, I just don't see that happening. I think we're in it for the long haul with this, at least for the next 20, 30 years. I don't see that changing, but.
Well, sometimes I've quote unquote said software is like Ponzi scheme. They get you so drug in, you can't afford to get out. So I guess my question is then, since we haven't had a workshop, and I know we're going to have a workshop on the modules, et cetera, are we with them, what percentage are we done with our modules successfully? And
So, as you know, we put everything on hold due to the cyber attack. We were implementing EnerGov, we were ready to go live in January of this year. But due to the cyber attack, that just put us behind and then moving into the new city hall. So tomorrow I'll be driving to Ohio for the next week, and during that drive, I am on a call with Tyler Technologies to discuss fast-tracking EnerGov. We're ready to restart all these modules, which is EnerGov, the work orders, and utility billing. If we could fast-track EnerGov, I'd like to see somebody on site for 2 months straight. I've talked to community development staff, I talked to the city manager about this. If they're willing to do this, bring their person on staff, we'll make the commitment to get it done. Otherwise, if they can't do that, typically the implementation was 3 days, once or twice a month, and that would just prolong. If we could get them here, we could be hopefully live on EnerGov in the next few months. The other two, work orders and utility billing, will take a little longer because we lost a valuable resource on the utility billing side who was with the program implementation since day one. And they've had new staff, and we probably have to do a little fresh restart because there hasn't been much involvement in that for a while. In the work order system, we're making some headway on that, but then we've changed course again with the Public Works and Utilities Department and getting a new director on board and losing a director. So we need to refocus again on that, and that will take probably a good 6 months. But I don't think that is as big an issue as the EnerGov. I think we want to get online with the online permitting as soon as possible. So we want to fast track that, which, like I said, would be a big commitment. That means staff and community development, Wayne in our GIS, IT, we would be heavily involved almost every day. They have to make that commitment to go live. But I will know more so tomorrow if they could find the resource to do that for us.
so the range of when we'll actually have all our modules done?
Including utility billing and the work orders. My goal is to have it before the end of this fiscal year. Or not fiscal year, this calendar year.
And does
Just
this,
that with implementing that many, implementing that many with the resources we have with staffing, it's very difficult. It's a very complex system. I think a lot of departments thought that IT would copy data from the old system into the new system. You actually are building the new system based on their software. And you're building it to the way you do business, and we've changed the way we've done business compared to the way Naviline was done. So there's a lot of thought process. We've got, for example, the work order system. From each department that wants to do it, they've got functional lead staff. They have subject matter experts that have to attend these sessions. They know what their processes are. IT staff don't know how people do their business here. So there's a lot of commitment by a lot of staff. So it just takes time. It's not an easy system to implement. And those that have been in those implementation sessions can contest to that they thought it would be much easier than it is because they have to think about how they've been doing work for the last 20 years and how to make that change so that they don't just duplicate the same process they're doing now. What's it going to be for the future? So
But
No.
that's going to be addressed during our workshop,
It
right?
is, it is.
So
And
let's-
Michael,
let's-
yeah, I don't want to belabor that point.
Yeah.
But we probably belabor it longer than we can. But we're making a huge investment now additionally to Tyler, and it'd just be nice to see us. But I get it. It goes both ways. It's just, at some point, we've got real citizen user-friendly issues that, depend on it. So, but I'll wait to visit.
Those are really embedded in Energov, so that is our absolute priority, is going live on Energov. And that's why I think it's really important if we get somebody from Tyler here on site, so they can train when staff is available, and answer questions, in real time, instead of I have a question, and then 2 days later it's answered, and that type of a thing. So, I'm glad that Michael's having his conference call. I really would like to see him here. That we don't have the funding for that because it's above the hours that we paid for in the original contract, but the building fund can accommodate this easily. So, I think it's important we get somebody here.
No, and trust me, I get it.
Yep.
Software implementation projects are the bane of our existence. But that's fine, but we're making a big investment here. It obviously looks like a sound, recommendation. So other than that, that was my question. Thank you. Thank you.
Anything from you?
No question.
Question?
I'm going to make a comment in relationship to what was just said, and also a question then. So, first of all, I have really never heard of a really easy or smooth implementation. And that's why you hire people to come in that really know that program, that can really help with you, and I applaud you for doing that. That's great. Principally, though, as I see this, this discussion here is really about going to the cloud.
Yes.
And that's really the issue. And we have to go to the cloud. And if you don't go to the cloud, we're going to the cloud. So here's going to the cloud. You have to go to the cloud. So really, that's what this is about. The number looks big, but the number, when you look at it, is not just in 1 year, correct?
Correct.
So it sounds reasonable. Great plan, I think. I read it enough that I feel comfortable with it. This will then resolve so my question is, obviously, for anybody listening, this will then resolve the problem that we had previously.
Yes.
And I don't even want to say the words. So
in
done with
any
that?
event, if the network is down, we don't have connection internally,
This is the way to do
you
it.
have a wireless, we've got any internet from home, wherever you're at, you're traveling, directors, everybody could still log in to their secure site on the Tyler system and continue business.
You hit your flashlight light.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to get it off quick, easiest way. Oh, boy. Anyway, so thank you very much. It's essentially a question about going to the cloud.
Anything from you?
Yes, ma'am. We absolutely need to get to the cloud, so, I don't think that's much of an issue. And it might have been answered, and I didn't hear it, but, right, we have a love-hate relationship with Tyler sometimes. And I'm just wondering, are there any other vendors out there that we could use their services? Is there a reason why we're choosing Tyler above others?
So back in 2016, when we started this ERP process, and we eventually, once it went out for bid, we had, I think, 5 vendors bid on it, and all department heads and functional leads and staff members got together and reviewed the bids and decided there's 3 of the top ones that we would like to have come in and do demos. So we scheduled in January of 2018 that all the vendors would all come in they get a day-and-a-half session to demonstrate their product to all of our staff. So it wasn't just IT staff or department heads choosing this, it was the end users who use the system. They got to see how each module works for their department. So we had tally sheets, voting sheets, and everybody voted, and it was 99%, I believe, was the outcome that everybody wanted Tyler, due to the fact of what the system could do, what other cities who've already been using it. They are the largest municipality software system in the country. Major cities like Los Angeles, New York, they all just switched to their Tyler's cloud service. And those folks probably pay $50 to $100 million a year for their service. But local, many of our sister cities were jumping ship from Navaline and other products to go to Tyler. So that wasn't as though it was a simple decision. We allowed collaboration and we invited everybody from each department to make a decision on this. So that's why we went with Tyler back then.
Okay. And regarding the ugly two words that sometimes won't be mentioned up here, will it solve that problem, or is that always a risk?
Cyber attack, nobody, according to our
Can't believe you said that.
So, I know, but the Pinellas County Sheriff's Digital Forensic Unit, who worked with us on the recovery, as well as Surefire Cyber, the cybersecurity team that worked with us, they all said the same thing. Nobody could ever prevent it. The U.S. government can't prevent it. But you could put things in place to monitor it and know when things are going to happen and stop it. But, you can know, someone's always going to find something, create something better that'll be able to infiltrate into your system. But if we could put things in place that are tried and true, then hopefully somebody will go on to the next person and not bother us because we have things in place to help us. But
all right. Thank you for that, because I thought I heard earlier that, this will solve the problems, and I think it's important that the public knows this goes a long way, but you can't ever fully protect yourself.
No, but this, by going to the Tyler's Cloud service for our ERP system, will provide, as I stated, the ability to access them 24/7. If we have a power outage in Dunedin or in the city hall or any of our data centers, public can still do online payments, do permit requests, do records. They can still access their portal. They can pay utility bills. Our staff they can work from home. So it provides that kind of benefit, as opposed to if it's hosted here and the data center goes down, then nobody has access. And that's kind of what the attack happened to us. They encrypted things, and we could not do anything, couldn't access it. Tyler's never had an issue with the cloud service that they host for any other municipality having any issue. They did have suffer their own attack internally on their system several years ago, but it had nothing to do with the cloud system. So I feel very confident in moving to the cloud service. I think it's in the best interest of the city.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions. Do you want to move to the next
Yes,
piece?
the next item will be the Microsoft Office 365. After the cyber attack, we learned that our current Outlook email that is hosted locally on our Exchange server was encrypted by the hackers. Although no email was lost or taken, we successfully restored all of it from our backup archive device within 3 weeks after the attack. Unfortunately, the archiver device does not save our email contacts and calendaring, as everybody knows. Those items couldn't be restored. We've also learned that having access to key business documents was not readily available until after we were able to restore all of our Windows-based network servers and computers. Those business documents include Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoint presentations, PDFs. By purchasing Microsoft Office 365 system, those worries could be gone should another event happen. We'd be able to access our city email, our Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, and PowerPoint presentations from anywhere as long as we had an internet connection. Staff would have better tools to share files and collaborate. It would also standardize us on one virtual meeting platform using Microsoft Teams. If you cannot work in the office could be in the cloud for you if we purchase Microsoft Office 365. So current funding, the annual recurring cost for the city would be, as it says on the slide, $93,140. In my haste, I sent the wrong slide. The actual cost is $91,808. That's what the quote that's attached to this agenda item. So it's $1,300 less. So it's a savings.
We'll talk about it tomorrow, Michael.
Yes.
As long as it's a savings. That's right.
So if we do not purchase Microsoft Office 365 this year, we will need to replace the email exchange server at a cost of about $50,000.
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
Yes. So it's in the best interest of the city to move forward, because I'd hate to purchase a server and the next year decide to move, and this is the opportunity to do that. And if this is approved, next week, they could start the migration and process to get us onto Office 365. Any questions before I go on to the next item?
No.
I don't think anybody has any questions
Okay.
on 365.
Okay, also as part of the cyber attack recovery process, the city's cyber insurance carrier's cyber threat response team provided the city with their license of SentinelOne software program for antivirus protection. Although the city's was using a well-established other antivirus protection system for years, all the computers citywide were re-imaged with that SentinelOne antivirus program after the cyber attack. This program provides not only antivirus protection for all city-owned Windows devices against malicious threats and computers, but it also performs other checks and balances. That's why if you notice that if you go to open up a file or go to the website, there's a hesitation because it's checking the file for you. It's checking the website. It's learning your patterns of things you go to so that when you open up your next document, it'll be faster. It's a much more advanced system. So we got 3 bids submitted for the SentinelOne program. A vendor, CDWG, was the lowest bid at $37,461. Funding is available in the ARPA Broadband Internet Fund account, and we would transfer that into the ARPA Cybersecurity Fund for software. And the reason for that is we did not fund for this in FY23, but the funds are available in the ARPA. So we highly recommend the purchase of the SentinelOne antivirus system.
Okay.
So before I move on, are there any questions on that one?
I don't think so.
Okay. The next item is the city only has one data storage device that houses our millions of documents that have been created and saved by the city employees. It was purchased back in November as part of the recovery process following the October attack. The device is currently located in our IT data center, the Public Services Building. This purchase would give us 2 additional network storage devices that we could create our own cloud. We would have a data storage at New City Hall, the Emergency Operations Center, and the Public Services. So we could replicate our data in 3 places. It's on our own city fiber, it's not going out of here, so it's secure. Let's see. So the additional network storage would prevent service outages by providing a failover system for us. So the cost for this is $80,023 by vendor SHI International. We currently have $70,000 available in the FY23 EOC Server Storage Fund. And the additional $10,023 is available in the FY23 ERP Server Fund. So the funding's there. We just have to do some transfers, and that will come before the commission at a later date. Any questions on that before we move on? Yep. So the next item is our annual cyclical replacement of computer desktops and network equipment. It's currently budgeted in FY23 for $195,800. But however, the vendor quotes came in higher than what was budgeted, and that's because the budget amount was based on April of 22 prices. Since then, technology prices have skyrocketed. So the additional almost $12,000 needed that would be over budget would come from that same source of the ERP server replacement. So as the slide shows, we have $75,000 in our budget for the ERP servers. We would take that $42,000 out of there for the ERP cloud service. We would take the $10,023 out for the redundant storage device, and the $11,900 is in there too. So it leaves us with additional $10,600 still in that account. So there's no additional funding needed. It's all in IT services this year. So we highly recommend purchasing of this equipment and provide those budget amendments later on.
Any other questions about any of it?
We got one more page.
What'd you say?
There's one more page. What?
And it's the summary going over
Oh,
where the funding is and what would be needed. So although the purchasing we're requesting is $1.24 million, this year we only need $481,000, which is budgeted, because the difference are these outlying years for Tyler's cloud service. We have available $277,000, and we have to transfer the $204,000. So the funding for all these purchases are in IT services. They just need to be moved around to accommodate them.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just have, so Michael, does this, along with other improvements, does this cover the things that, either you have felt or the other experts have recommended that we need to do to protect us from cyber attack to the best of our ability? Does
Yes, this is a
take care of
big
it all?
start. This doesn't take care of all.
Okay.
We also will have, we also need to do more advanced cybersecurity training for IT staff, cybersecurity training for locals, for end users. Some of the staff have already been doing that online. We just need to either fund it for next year or use maybe what's left over in this 10,000 to fund training for our network staff this year. But there's additional training that we need to go to. There's more conferences. We've already attended several conferences locally in Sarasota, Northport, collaborating with our colleagues. And but definitely we need more training when it comes to that. And there'll be other things that we're going to need to purchase.
We have multi-factor authentication.
The multi-factor authentication,
Yeah,
we
that's-
purchased that in October, November, the Cisco Duo. So if an employee wants to log on the network computer, they will either receive a phone call and they'll press a button to give them access, or they can get if they have the app on a cell phone, they click that. And there's other ways. We're looking into maybe doing the fingerprint USB adapter so that you have to use your fingerprint. This way it knows it's you. So somebody from the outside, even if you gave them your network credentials to log in, if they didn't have that app on their phone, or they didn't have your office number they could call, or they didn't have that USB fingerprint, they couldn't get on. And that's the multi-factor authentication that's needed, that we currently have in place.
Cool. Thank you.
Quick comment?
Sure.
Yeah, so this, I mean, just, this is for the public, but, you know, on the surface, this appears to be a big number. However, I will say that you have recognized the efficiencies that can be gained by migration to the cloud, and I think that's very important. And just to kind of emphasize the importance of what we're doing here is that the federal government is already way ahead on this. They're going to the government cloud, and it's locked down, and it's about as secure as, you know, it can be. And with the, you know, I'll call it the threat vector, there's been an increasing amount of bad actors exploiting municipality IT infrastructure because it's low-hanging fruit. It's, you know, it's out of date. It's, you know, it's not as secure as it could be because there's some very sophisticated practices that are going on. So my opinion, and you've recognized the efficiencies, and, you know, but this is a no-brainer. We need to do this because, in my mind, this is like entering the 21st century in terms of IT. And so I applaud your presentation here, Michael.
Thank you.
Before we go further on any final comments, I need to get a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Turner and Commissioner Freeney. Okay. Vice Mayor? Anything?
Questions or comments?
Comments, final comments?
Yeah, so final comment, I can make this real simple. I think I already said it. We have to go to the cloud. This is a desire of even the ARPA funds for us to spend this kind of money, and it's a desire from the state of Florida. On the administrative side, for the Florida League of Cities, they're really excited about this. You experienced what happened when we weren't there, through no fault of, I mean, it's just the way it was. And we're now taking the responsible move that we need to take. So I'm all supportive of it. Thank you very much for the presentation. And oh, by the way, Les, I got your assistant down here moving money around. He's going from all different accounts, and don't worry about it. Everything's okay.
Commissioner?
Yeah, I'm certainly in favor of this. We've already seen what happens if we don't do this. So this is certainly brings us into the 21st century that was mentioned. So absolutely, well done, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, did you have any comments?
No, I mean, I think, again, Commissioner Walker said it really well. I mean, this is something we have to do, and just thanks to you and your team. I know you've been through a lot, and this is well presented.
Thank you.
Yep, and I totally agree. We're a little bit behind the times not being in the cloud and not having Microsoft 360. So I'm all good. So any public comments? Yep. Feel free to give us your name and address for the record.
John 1426 Alamo Lane, and you hit the mark right on the, you hit the target right on the mark. This is a very large, complex, multiple moving parts project. It's going to make a difference in the way you do business. It's going to take a lot of training. It has a lot of components. I just would like to know if there is a contingency fund built in, because every large IT project I've worked on has had to have a contingency fund. I'd just like to know if it's built into the individual projects, or if there's one overall, or what happens when you go over budget. That's my question.
Sir, what was your name? I didn't.
John Ghidiu, Ghidiu.
Thank you.
We don't have a contingency.
No, these are bids, so they're going to honor the bids.
Yes.
You know, as far as any cost overruns, given that they're hard bids, I would imagine it might be in additional training and that type of thing.
And that could
And
be
we would
taken from
accommodate
many
that.
other places.
Well, yeah, and IT is an internal service fund as well. Every department contributes into that fund. And it's well-funded. You know, every year when we budget,
Well, it
we
can get
calculate.
increased, too.
Sorry?
It can get increased if it needs to.
It certainly can, yeah, and the departments can pay for it themselves. So I understand what you're saying. It is a large purchase, but you know, given that these are actually quotes for different areas, it's hard to put a contingency in because they're different companies.
We have more ARPA funds as well. Al, I mean, you have a pretty good number in ARPA funds for this, right? And
Yeah, about 3.5 million.
3.5, so I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah.
so 3.5
That's
million buffer there.
I'm a big fan of good, well-funded contingencies, and I think we're okay with this.
Okay. All right, so all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And we have the.
Well done, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Good detail.
We have the proposed agenda for the 6th. Not a lot there.
Where are tartans?
Well,
It's National Tartan Day.
Right on that date.
Yep.
Shouldn't we have the Highland Games proclamation on this as well?
Highland Games is on the 1st, though.
The first,
Just before, right?
Yeah.
Is it-
It was supposed, then it should have been on tonight?
Yeah.
should have been on tonight.
No.
I wasn't even thinking there. I was gonna talk about it during comments, but I never even thought about the proclamation.
Well, but you would have notified us if you hadn't heard from anybody, right?
Normally, the department will, once your calendar is set, they'll, I put out at the department head meeting to just make sure you put all your placeholders in, and I just didn't catch it. If I catch it, then I absolutely let them know.
We hereby proclaim the Highland Games.
Yeah, but
April
this
1.
is bad. We haven't not had a Highland Games proclamation. I mean, we have it every year. They come and they regale you, they do it at the same time as Tartan Day. I mean, this is not a good look. I'm just saying, it's bad.
So the Tartan Day is on this one. You said
Right.
it's-
I know,
Highland Games, yeah.
you're saying the Highland Games is on the 1st.
Yeah.
Well, let me propose something, because special meeting, I think that would be a nice show.
You want a special meeting for the Highland Games proclamation?
Well,
I mean, it's not like
That's
forgetting
quite
the
admirable.
surveyors. Okay, I mean, that's really,
So I'll fall on the sword on that. That was my bad, my mistake.
all right, so you'll talk to them about it. I just
Oh,
don't
yeah,
want them to
yeah,
be
yeah.
upset because,
I think they'll survive.
Do you want me to, I can generate you one, just like we would the others.
Yeah, and we can present it to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
I can generate it, we'll get it generated first thing tomorrow morning and put it in your office.
There we go. My new one.
I won't bring it over here.
yeah, it's allergies. It's
Yeah,
like a
'cause
10 out there.
You're
I
getting
mean,
worse and worse, I can see
this
it.
morning I was sneezing all through Edgewater Drive committee meeting. I mean, constantly. So, I mean, and I was good this afternoon, but tonight, I don't know what it is. And maybe it's dust in here. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's really tough, so.
Okay, so anyway, can I have a motion to approve this agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Franny, Vice Mayor
There's very
Torner.
little on it.
No, I see that, and obviously, if you have things to add, Jennifer, you'll star them, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we had a good look at what we had, so this is it.
Okay. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Did I do that already? Okay. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, I didn't see any commission discussion items come through, so city clerk's update,
I don't have anything, thank you.
city manager's update,
Nothing for this evening, thank you, Mayor.
city attorney's update.
Nothing for this evening.
Okay, we'll go with our liaison positions. So, John, anything from your liaison stuff?
No, I don't think I have to.
Okay.
We're fine.
Jeff?
Yeah, the Holland Games are Saturday, April 1st. And actually, yeah, just real quickly, and I apologize for the colleagues who might have been at the DCO where I made some comments. But I just wanted to mention that in the middle school and the high schools throughout the state of Florida, they, I'm going to say compete. They have a Bandmasters Association, and they do their MPAs, or music performance assessments. And that's basically plays a large role in how the directors in those middle schools and high schools are evaluated and things of that nature, how they do that. There isn't a place within the Florida Bandmasters Association or the MPAs for the Scottish element. And so the Holland Games, while it's a lot of fun and we get to enjoy the culture and wear our kilts and drink beer and watch big men and women throw heavy objects, it's really got a serious undertone, especially for those middle school students and the high school students, where the MPAs in the public school system, they're not even competing against these. It's not a real competition. They're competing against ourselves, and they get rankings as excellent, superior, straight superior. In the Holland Games community, it's a true competition. And when you have the only youth bands, the middle school and high school, not just the state of Florida, but the entire Southeast, they don't have a youth division and an adult division. It's just ranked by the grade of the band or the individual. And so always you have sixth graders going up against adults, seventh graders going up against adults, not just Dunedin, but in South Florida, Central Florida, North Florida, all the Holland Games. That's just the way they're created. And so just want to give a nod to the seriousness. And then it's a true competition. They get ranked. You can have sixth graders, seventh graders win their division, win their competition, win their grades. And so it goes to the dedication of those students and everyone in the pipe band, and that's just dancers, drummers, bagpipers. And so it just goes to the seriousness of this competition and the dedication each one of those students has towards their craft and their instrument. And just so for any of the public that is listening, please come out and certainly enjoy your day, but listen to our middle school students and listening to those high school students, and you'll hear some amazing, amazing music. And so we'll see everybody Saturday, April 1st. Thank you. Well, Friday night, I'm so focused on the games. Thank you. Yeah, we have our pipe band march on Friday night. The step off there is 6:30, and it's going to start loud and right in front of we're going to stage right in front of the new City Hall, walk down Main Street. We're going to end on Broadway, right there by Rosie's and Caracaras, and it's going to be a wonderful time, all kinds of music. And
Are we in the parade?
we are in the parade.
I mean, we haven't been, so is that next Friday?
Something came out, I think Andrew forwarded something from,
I think it's on our calendars, is
Eric
it
said
not?
something to us
Yeah, but I mean, are we,
about us being in the, Eric, I think Andrew sent something from Eric to us about being in the parade.
I saw it, but it wasn't, it just said where we were meeting. I don't know if we're walking in it, are we on a
You have golf
or-
carts.
Okay,
I'm walking, but there are golf carts for everybody else.
okay.
It is on my calendar.
Thank
Say
you.
what?
Yes, thank you.
Are you gonna walk? Because that would
No,
be
I'm not
from
walking.
here down to
No, I don't walk in the parades either.
Catching a looper.
I'm kidding you. I'm kidding you about before, but you're having an allergy attack.
I am, I was not.
It's like,
Don't tease the
"Shut up,
mayor.
Mom."
She's stuffy.
I know she is.
And I don't mean that stuffy.
Goodness gracious.
She's definitely
I'm
not
sorry.
stuffy in the other one.
Right.
Yeah, way not.
But I will get everybody detailed information. It'll be in your inbox.
Too funny.
Anything from your?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to put it on your radar, maybe all of our radars. And this is a little bit ahead, but the TBRPC Resiliency Summit, which is the 4th and 5th of May. I won't be able to attend the meeting on that 4th of May because, there's activities during that time down in Clearwater Beach at the conference, and as an officer now I need to be at that. So just kind of putting that on your radar. And then I just wanted to kudos to Jason and Flanagan's and everybody else involved in putting on an amazing St. Patrick's Day event. Rob, I haven't seen your picture yet of your outfit. So, I'm hoping to do that. But, I know nobody would probably recognize me, but it was a great event and lots of fun.
Well, nobody caught on fire. That was the important thing.
Right. But anyway, congratulations to Jason. And I also just noted, and I'm not paying as much attention to leadership and all this stuff as I usually am, but they have 2 recruitment things, and one of them's at Dunedin's House of Beer. The recruitment, you know how they have the recruitment event.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, and I don't know if we have anybody, obviously, who would be a candidate for.
We have some folks who have voiced some interest.
Yeah, I think that'd be great, and it might be good whoever can go to the recruitment event, try to show up. I think that would be really nice. I forget the date, but the date.
Yeah, there's 2 dates, and I try to go to the one that's always in Dunedin.
With the one.
Last couple of
especially the
years,
one
it's been
local,
at
it'd
Bon
be kinda
Appetit.
cool for us to be able to, as many of us to be there as possible. So
Yeah, right.
that was it for me.
Rob, anything from your liaison positions?
Dunedin Youth Guild raised over $13,000.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And my apologies, I did send my regrets to Amanda, who was supposed to send my regrets to somebody else while she was getting on a cruise ship. Literally.
Your regrets were passed.
Okay.
Yes, yep.
I got the ticket,
Yeah.
but
No.
doggy issues.
Yeah. And Dunedin Fine Art, the garden party, April 16th, full swing. You should have gotten an announcement in your email today. So that's all I got.
Okay.
Mayor, if I can add one more thing, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Just because Rob reminded me that the same day as the garden party, the Dunedin Music Society is having their concert band and their conductor, it's his last.
Yeah,
And
I
I
saw
think
that
we all did get
invitation in my
invites.
inbox.
And so if you're available and have the time to go just from the community center to well, I guess it's not over to the.
Christmas one was awesome.
Right,
Yeah,
garden
it's
party
at
is
the-
not, right, it's
It's at Margaret's
Right.
house, Margaret and Aaron's house.
not as easy, but just if you're available.
Okay. I have a lot to report, and I feel like I just hit the wall with this allergy thing, and I want to give you all the time you need to ask questions on what I have to report, so I'm not going to report it tonight, because I feel like you deserve a better condition than I am, because I'm ready to go put
Yeah,
my.
you can hear it.
I need to go put my head down. I've hit the wall. But it's fine. You'll be fine knowing it 2 weeks from now. No big deal. Totally fine. We've already discussed it with Jennifer, so she's fully aware. But it's a lot of good news. So anyway, we will talk about that later. And if nothing else is there for the good of the order, I am going to adjourn. All right.